Hey, welcome back to the channel. So this is my second video of the Six Nations coverage this year, 2024. And I've decided to take a little bit of a look at the coaches and their records because I think it's quite significant when you think about like how this Six Nations is going to play out. So I had to go digging for the stats actually. I'm surprised no one put something together, but they didn't. So I had to go and search each coach's stats individually. A little bit out of date in terms of a year or two, like basically the World Cup. But it gives you a nice perspective on actually how the squads were selected and how each coach is going to approach the Six Nations campaign this year. So let's get started. So by far and away, the most experienced coach is Warren Gatland. Um, in charge of Wales, he's had like almost 150 games in charge. That's almost three times as much as his nearest competitor. But he only has a 55% win ratio. So that's quite significant, I think. He has won more games than he's lost, and he's won games that he shouldn't have won with a Welsh team that often hasn't performed at club level, but has done it at international level. And he's been in charge on and off since 2008. That's kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, he has a lot of experience, especially Six Nations. I mean, for what his squad lacks in experience, he's gonna like try and make up for that, I think. So Wales could, as a result of that, get a few upsets, I think, in the tournament. Going on to the second most experienced coach, and that's Gregor Townsend. He has around 80 matches in charge of Scotland, but with a similar win ratio to Wales, about 55-60%. And yeah, so Townsend, of course, is in charge of Scotland. Scotland have traditionally struggled to get the players together, and they've had an influx of overseas players who have, naturalized and become part of the Scottish team. And yeah, they've done quite well again, but that shows you that they can get the upsets with an experienced coach like Gatland or Townsend. That they're able to pass on that knowledge to the squad regardless of who they pick, and they're able to get the upset, not every time, but sometimes. Then going on to the coaches with the highest win ratio, and those are Galthié and Farrell. And I was kind of shocked to see that they're almost identical in their stats. They've both been in charge for around 45-50 games, both with a win ratio of about 80%. Now, in terms of Farrell's perspective about this Six Nations, I think that's quite significant, because I think Farrell is his own whole mission has been to establish Ireland as one of the top three teams in the world year on year. So I think that as long as he maintains that ratio and of win to loss, which is about 80%, so out of 10 games he doesn't mind losing two, and he stays in the top three, and he knocks off one of the Southern Hemisphere teams. I think that's really what Farrell's game plan is about, like. And but Galthié and Farrell both like fantastic coaches. And their win ratio is so good. I mean, obviously they've had a good generation of players coming through, but I think that speaks a lot to the kind of their boldness in terms of how they've implemented the game plan that they've wanted their team to play, and how they've got their team to actually play it, and none more so than Farrell, really. Borthwick, although he has, as I mentioned in the previous video, a fantastic pool of players, he's so inexperienced with about 16 to 20 games in charge, and he only has a 55-60% win ratio. So Borthwick has the most approved out of all the coaches, I think. Quesada from Italy is a newbie to coaching, and it's going to take him a while to find his feet, I think. But in terms of what it tells us about the Six Nations, I think that yeah, Galtier and Farrell obviously are the most potent coaches, but you can't underestimate the experience of Townsend and Gatland. So those are going to be banana skins for both teams. So what does that tell us about the result of the Six Nations? Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Well, I think the experience of Townsend and particularly Gatland would suggest that France and Ireland should be very wary of playing those teams, and the experience of the coach actually lifting the team to a higher level. So even though they might look easy games on paper, and this is the beauty of the Six Nations, I think they really have to like switch on when they go to, or when they host those teams at their place, and those could be some of the biggest upsets of the Six Nations, I think, against Wales and Scotland, just purely based on the experience of their coaches, not even the team on paper. Because on paper, Ireland and France are absolutely going to smash everybody. But as we know from watching the Six Nations every year, that's never the case. And a Grand Slam is a very, very difficult thing to come by. And that's why they're treasured by the players who actually earn them. Because, you never know what's going to happen. I hope that's given a little bit of perspective in terms of like the head coaches of each team. Again, it's just a little warm up before we get into the first weekend of rugby, and really looking forward to the game against Ireland against France on Friday, and I'm definitely going to do a preview of that once the teams are announced. But there's going to be fireworks, I think, down in Marseille. So keep up to date, like, subscribe, give a comment, and I'll see you next time. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.